The wait is finally over. The NFL season is here. Brett no longer. We're saved. Our savior has arrived. The
Dude,
NFL 2024 season. Oh, it's finally time to do something with our weekends.
I've been fretting a lot over the past
Yeah?
few weeks, bro. Constant fretting,
Fret
but
no more.
no more,
Tomorrow.
dude. I
Today,
know.
actually. Posting this on YouTube Thursday morning, posting this on Spotify Wednesday night, Apple
Yep.
Music, one of the two. So we're in the thick of it. We're T minus 24 hours till kickoff.
It's gonna be awesome, bro. I'm so
Yeah.
excited for it. Huge game tomorrow. Ravens, Chiefs.
Yeah,
It's
I
gonna
mean,
be
what a
epic.
great opener for sure. Really, really good opener.
Oh
I have
yeah.
a little bit of a controversial opinion on that, and obviously that is what we're
hmm
here to do today is to predict all of the week one games, give you a slew of best bets, and also some college football bets as well. We'll talk a little bit about that here in a bit, but yeah, I mean, I would say we should just dive right into it, waste no more time. We've
Let's
had
do it.
plenty of time to wait all summer. With our week one picks, obviously Thursday night football, like you said, Baltimore visiting Kansas City, the defending Super Bowl champions, times two rematch of a playoff game in which Kansas City went on the road to beat Baltimore. That is why I am taking Baltimore in this game. I think it's a revenge game. I think Baltimore is hungrier than Kansas City at this point, even though it is in Arrowhead. And I also really think Derrick Henry traditionally has done great against the Chiefs.
hmm
He has always eaten up the Chiefs, whether it be on the Titans many years ago, regular season and playoffs, or even when that game Malik Willis started for the Titans, in which he almost pulled it off, basically won them the game for them almost. I think he has a major impact in this game as well. I think Baltimore walks away with the dub, kind of akin to last year, in which Kansas City lost the opener. I believe they're at home as well, but to Detroit.
Yeah, I like the pick. Derrick Henry, I do think is gonna have a solid game. One of the app I was telling you about, Fliff, has Derrick Henry like boosted to get 100+ rushing yards and a touchdown. I don't think he's gonna go that crazy, but definitely in for a good game. Um, you kind of mentioned the fact that the Chiefs lost their season opener last year, and that's kind of the reason I'm picking them is I don't foresee them after winning two consecutive Super Bowls losing two consecutive openers right after the fact. Like they're
Yeah.
Baltimore's still hungry, but the Chiefs don't want to get embarrassed again after losing last year's home opener after winning the Super Bowl. So
See,
I'm gonna roll with the Chiefs.
they built up so much stock. Like, how do you even embarrass the Chiefs? I feel like the Chiefs would
Yeah,
have to have a just horrible
that's
season, miss the
fair.
playoffs to be embarrassed. I mean, they have built up so
hmm
much stock, so much goodwill over the last couple of years that I feel like this year, like they could end up being like a second place team. They could end up being a wild card team in the sense that
hmm
how much more do these guys have it in them to want it? I mean, the younger guys obviously are there, but
Yeah.
like Travis Kelce, I feel like he's like already hit that like level, that epsilon where he's just like, I got everything. I got the commercials. I got Taylor Swift. I got three Super Bowls. Like, what more can I possibly want? Like, and it's
hmm
not even something like when asked, you would be like, oh no, like, yeah, I just don't want it as much. Like, I'm just not working as hard. It's just like an innate subconscious thing. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
a matter of will. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I think what it really is just going to come down to then is the fact, or not the fact, but is whether or not Taylor will be at the game
Hmm.
tomorrow. Because if
Oh my God.
Taylor's there, it seems like it's going to be the Chiefs. But
Uh, Back to this discussion.
I
But
mean,
I
what
mean,
else
yeah,
could it be?
I feel like she would have to be there. It's the opener. It's on Thursday night and it's in Kansas City. So,
So
all
I guess
right.
that gives you the answer.
We'll see. It's going to be one of our few of dissent opinions dissenting here.
Yeah.
Actually, we have a couple. We have
We actually
three
have a lot. No, we have
straight,
so
just
many, bro.
rip it off
L-
the cuff here.
Look throughout the rest of the, we probably have half of them different.
This is either gonna really like destroy one of us in the records competition throughout the year.
That's a little problematic. I feel like I also made so many changes from like my regular rip
Yeah,
through of all the schedules compared
but
to
that's
now.
okay. Like some of those we did in like June, so
That's true.
I definitely changed a few of them, but I don't know. This next one might be one of the ones I changed, but I have a couple of reasons for it. So this is obviously
Hmm.
the Brazilian game here.
Yeah.
Green Bay at Philadelphia, first game ever in Brazil. Now, in Brazilian stadium here, whatever it's called, I don't know what it's called, they don't allow green uniforms because it is their rival's color, Palmeiras
Oh.
or whatever. They're the Corinthians. And the Eagles have already confirmed that they're wearing their white uniforms. So Green Bay's wearing the
Hmm.
green uniforms. Stupid? Sure. But hey, if there are any Brazilians actually attending this game and it's not just all foreigners traveled in, then they're not going to be rooting for Green Bay. I mean, they have been just bred up to root against anything green. So
Yeah.
I really am a believer here in Philadelphia.
Hmm.
And I think that they're going to have a good year after such a disappointing last couple years.
That's a
Or not
really
last couple years,
interesting
but end to the
last.
final year. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I knew what you meant. That's a really interesting thought process. Didn't ever think about the color of uniforms impacting a game so much, but my question to you is what exactly has changed between the end of last season and now that's caused you to be a little bit higher on Philly this year?
I think they got rid of their defensive coordinator. I'm pretty sure
Okay.
they axed that guy.
Hmm.
And I also just think like let's be real. I mean, they were the best team in the NFL for the first like 10, 11 weeks.
I will
And
give
then
you
things
that.
obviously, what's up?
I said I will give you that. They were
Yeah.
indeed like the best team last year
And
for the
then things just
beginning.
kind of fell apart for them.
Yeah.
Is it the head coach? Is it locker room issues? I feel like either way, they're fixable. The secondary was
Hmm.
trash, however, but I feel like a lot of the issues they had were kind of like personality clashes, like effort type things. I feel like it was a little bit more fixable than like other teams' issues. And Nick
Hmm.
Sirianni, he knows like he almost got fired after going like 11-7 or 11-6, making the playoffs last year. So he knows he's on the hot seat this year, like with all the talent on that team. Super Bowl appearance 2 years ago. He needs to do something. I think this is a perfect place to display that. I also think Green Bay might have a little bit of regression this year. Them and the Texans, one of those squads is not going to perform as well as people think. First
No.
year starting QBs for one of those or for both of those teams. I just don't see both of those teams building upon those years that they had last year and doing better. I feel like one of them is going to do just as good or worse. And I think it
Hmm.
may be the Packers here going 9-8 or 10-7, something like that again. And just, being a solid team, but not replicating and, really taking the next step.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It does seem a little bit fanciful to expect the same caliber performance out of both CJ Stroud and Jordan Love.
Yeah.
But I still just love the way those guys ended the season and just carried their team through the playoffs, especially at such a young age. I was impressed with that. Would love to see it just for them to be able to continue that. So I'm actually going to pick Green Bay here. Um, I get where you're coming from with the Philadelphia pick, but I just think that Philadelphia will not have completely got it together. I don't know, since the end of last season, and that Green Bay will carry their strong performance at the end of last year through to this year. At least that I feel like maybe that's just what I'm hoping for. It might be a little bit of bias in there, but I guess we will see.
Yeah, no, it's
Um,
very possible. Like with all these games here, like I could totally see either team winning. I would not be surprised, but
mhm.
had to pick someone.
Yeah, another thing to note here, like I heard that there's a chance that the game might be canceled because of some wildfires going on in the area. Did you hear this?
Really? I did not hear
Yeah,
that.
that like
I would be shocked
Brazil's.
if that ended up happening, though. I'd be shocked if it got canceled.
Yeah. Well, that's supposedly what's been going on, some wildfires in Brazil that were potentially putting the game in jeopardy.
I would be shocked if it got canceled. I think it'll be just fine. They want this game to go through. Brazil wants
Yeah,
this game to go through.
you're right, you're right.
But moving on to the next game here, Sunday, Pittsburgh at Atlanta, like the first usual game on the slate here. Of course, you have two new starting QBs, Russell Wilson and Kirk Cousins. I'm going to take the more just consistent, solid team being Pittsburgh. Now, Atlanta, it's at home. I get it. Atlanta's got a lot of expectations this year, bringing in a new quarterback, Bijan Robinson, second year. You got Kyle Pitts, you got weapons, Drake London, solid secondary, but I just don't see them winning their first game here. I don't love their head coach, Raheem Morris. He's not been successful at this level in the past. I just think this is one of those games that Pittsburgh would usually win. They would win like a grime fest, which I think I'm going to take the under in this game. Like, I don't think there are going
Hmm.
to be many points. I think it's going to be a little sloppy. And those are the types of games that Pittsburgh just is built to win.
Fair enough. I just like want to see Kirk come out of the gates on his new team and just snag a W for them and like kind of defy the odds a little bit. A lot of people who aren't necessarily believing in the Falcons or what he can do for the team. And I think it's going to make him extra motivated to get his team a win. So I'm actually going to go with the Falcons here.
All right. Yeah. I mean, again, I totally could see that happening. I think I took the Falcons when we did the record predictions several
Hmm.
months ago,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I've just kind of changed my tune on a little bit. I'm a little down on the Falcons as time has
Hmm.
gone on, and I don't believe in the Steelers that much, but I feel like this is just one of those games that they could just snag.
I got you. So I haven't been in touch with the NFL news lately. I know that like ESPN was reporting on it for a while, but who is going to be the starter? Is it going to be Justin Fields or is it going to be Russell Wilson?
It's Russell.
It's
Yeah.
Russell. So didn't he have like a hand injury or something that he was dealing with for a while?
He might have. I feel like
I
it was
thought
pretty
there was
minor
some
though.
sort of injury that I was like that I'm remembering. I don't know, maybe I just lost touch with it a little bit or thinking of
I'm
something
pretty sure
else.
they'll be Russell Wilson. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, maybe I'm the one that's completely out of touch with the news,
No, I think
but
you're right. It says Steelers go with Russell Wilson over Justin Fields as the starting QB. So, yeah, I
yeah, I mean,
guess
I think we'll see both of them at some point this year, but week
mhm.
one, probably, the first couple weeks is going to be Russ. And let's remember, Russ didn't play that bad last year. He had like 26 touchdowns, only 9 picks before he was benched.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So moving on, next game is Arizona at Buffalo. Not much to discuss here. I think Arizona will be improved, but traveling all the way on over to Buffalo. Obviously, it's not cold yet, but it's a lot of travel
Hmm.
for Arizona. And Buffalo is a tough place to play. And I think that for a younger, kind of up and coming team at this point, it's just not going to work out. It's not one of those games that
Yeah.
Arizona can really upset.
Yeah, I mean Buffalo's clearly the better team. Let's just hope that they can prove that under the pressure here of week one. You know, historically they tend to lose to teams like New England when they definitely shouldn't. They lose those kind of games. So hopefully that isn't the case with this game here against Arizona because I love Buffalo. But yeah, definitely going to ride with the Bills this week.
Awesome. Glad we're on the same page with that one at least.
Yeah, I know we've got like so many of these different.
Tennessee at Chicago. I'm actually going to give this one to the Bears. I'm not a huge believer in the Titans this year,
Mhm.
although they do have some pieces there. But again, playing at Chicago, Caleb Williams' first game, of course, the array of weapons you now have in Chicago, Roma Dunze, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore is still there, DeAndre Swift, just endless weapons. I do think that the defense will be solid as it became at the end of last season. Defense got a lot better toward the end of the year. I think that carries
Yep.
over into this year as well.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I'm taking the Bears here as well, and I'm really excited to see Caleb's debut. Not the true debut since he did play a little bit in
Yeah.
preseason, but his
This is what
first
matters
actual.
though. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah, and he's got a very favorable matchup, I would say, facing one of
Hmm.
the worst teams in the league here as his first game should definitely lower the stakes a little bit. Like imagine if the Bears were facing the Chiefs and like Caleb had to go up against Mahomes week one. I feel like
Right.
he would not perform to his usual standards. He would be so nervous. But I think this is a nice little ease into the season for him, build up some confidence before facing some tougher teams later on. So I'm liking the Bears this week.
Yeah, I really don't think he could have asked for a better
Yeah.
like first game. I mean, obviously, you could have asked for the Vikings or the Panthers, but this is right up there with them. I don't think the
Yep.
Titans are going to be anything special this year.
Hmm.
All right. Next up, we have New England at Cincinnati. Another very easy game here to pick. Definitely taking the Bengals. I think New England could end up being one of the worst teams in the league, despite, Drake May, which who's not even starting. It's going to be Jacoby Brissett, new head coach, not a ton of offensive talent. Just, I honestly, I think I only have them winning one game, and that's one that I have not changed my mind on at all.
Yeah. No, I'm with you here. Cincinnati is going to win this game facing a terrible team in New England. However, just let's just keep in mind Cincinnati's historical slow starts to their seasons tends to happen often.
I mean,
So,
last year I feel like it was mostly because Joe Burrow was injured and he was still kind of like nursing a calf injury, I believe it was. So I think he'll be all right. I don't
mhm.
think, especially with such a cupcake game to start off, like you can't mess this up.
Yeah.
They're 8.5 point favorites.
Even the week or even the year prior, though, didn't Cincinnati start off pretty rocky, a little rocky road they were traversing?
I'm pretty sure. So the year prior was the year that they went to the Super Bowl, right? Or was it not? No, it wasn't.
No,
The year prior was the year that they played Buffalo in the playoffs. They won. They went on to face the Chiefs and lost. I'm trying to think. Computing, scanning, scanning. What was their first game? Scanning, thinking. First game. Uh,
I definitely don't
yes.
remember.
Wait. I think they played a division opponent. Didn't they play the Browns week 1 of 2022? Is that what we need to find out here? Bengals schedule 2022. I feel like it was the Browns.
Dude, if you get this right, that is just a surgical snipe.
Let me see. I got it. It's coming. It's coming. Oh, it
All
was the
right.
Steelers.
It was indeed the Steelers.
I
Yeah.
knew it was a divisional opponent, though.
So
And yes, you're right.
look,
They
bro,
did
they lost
start.
to the Steelers and then they lost to the Cowboys the following week. So they start off 0-2 in 2022 and they start off rocky in 2023 as well.
Yeah. No, but all right. This one, like, divisional opponent in the Steelers. Like I can let that one go. This Cowboys game though, yeah, that was the year the Cowboys defense was absolutely lethal though. Like the
Yeah.
defense was just absolutely insane.
Hmm.
And yeah, I mean, but there aren't too many excuses for that one considering the fact that the Cowboys started a backup quarterback that game. That was when Dak was still out. So yeah, I mean, you're right to a certain extent. So why don't the law of averages kick in now and they actually have a good first couple games?
It's possible. It's possible. We haven't necessarily seen that come to fruition yet, so they are kind of due for the law of averages to kick in. I just I don't know, just be weary. I feel
Be
confident
weary.
Cincinnati will beat New England here. But I think New England's going to keep it close. I actually have New England as to cover the spread as one of my bets
Ooh.
this week.
I
I
mean, that's a
know.
big spread, but like
Yeah.
Jacob, I feel honestly better about the bet now that Jacoby's starting than I would have with Drake starting, but
Hmm.
still don't feel great about it.
Yeah.
Next up is Houston at Indianapolis. This is a game like I feel like I originally picked Houston, but I can't do it. I feel like Anthony Richardson's such an unknown that it's hard to plan for. I also think Indianapolis as a whole, Houston was the team that kept them out of the playoffs last year on that failed fourth down conversion. They're hungrier than ever. And if they're going to win one of these against the Texans, it's going to be week 1. And hey, maybe like I said, one of these teams, Houston or Green Bay, is going to have a little bit of a slower start or a little bit of a regression or maybe not the step forward like we would imagine that they would based on how they ended the seasons last year. Maybe it is Houston. Maybe it's a little bit of both. I feel like this is a game that the Colts can win. I believe the coach Shane Steichen is incredible and Anthony Richardson back at full health. He's had so much time to sit and just observe and really doing that makes you want to be out there more than anything and allows you to kind of just like think, oh, I would have done that, or I would have done that instead of what Gardner Minshew done last year. Like so many
Hmm.
comparisons. I think it prepared him well. Again, I am not big on him in the long run. I don't think the Colts will make the playoffs this year, but this is a game that I feel like they have to win and they are set up to win it.
Feels like a really bold take to me. I understand where you're coming from on some of the other ones, but I'm not liking this Colts pick here at all, man. Anthony Richardson is gonna be a rusty old station wagon, bro. Like he hasn't played a game in like almost a year.
Yeah, but he's
He,
been practicing. He's loose as a goose.
but he's not gonna be able to take a hit from anyone, bro. Like
He'll be just
Houston,
fine. He'll run around.
no,
He'll
no, no.
scamper. He'll scamper better than he did last year. He won't run into as many people. He'll maybe try and get out of bounds. Like, hey, like that 1 yard's not that big of a deal.
I just feel like he's too rusty and hasn't actually got to experience the NFL to the extent that like NFL players play the game. Like he's gonna have to seriously like take some big hits. He only got to experience what like 3 weeks of it, maybe
Yeah.
2.5, because he like kept going out. So like he doesn't know what it's like to complete these games at such a high level, and it worries me. I don't think he's going to be up to par and able to pull off a win here against a really solid playoff caliber team in the Texans.
I mean, those are all very fair points. Don't get me wrong. Very fair. He's basically
Yeah.
still a rookie at this point, but
Yeah.
I have a feeling about this game. Like this is an upset I like.
Yeah, I guess there's good value if you're going to bet the money line since they are underdogs at home. It's
Yeah.
kind of tough sometimes for teams to lose their home opener. So there's value in it. I don't see the Texans losing it though.
We'll have to see. Jacksonville at Miami. I originally wanted to take Jacksonville a little bit, but I'm going to ride with the home team here in Miami, which does worry me. I have a lot of home teams winning. I have a couple, coming in and being a team on the road, but
Hmm.
I'm gonna take Miami here. I think this will be a really good game though. This is a good matchup. Like I don't think
Yeah.
either of these teams are like in that amazing tier, but they're both
Hmm.
solid. And especially, for Miami playing in the heat at home, I think they'll be just fine. Like this year, just like last year, they'll have a lot better performances early on. Once they go play some colder teams on the road, in Buffalo and Kansas City, in they have to go play Green Bay, New England, it's gonna get a little tough.
Yeah, this is definitely a good one to look forward to. Also taking
Yeah.
Miami here. I'm excited to see how Trevor performs after a pretty disappointing season last year. See if he can hang with Tua and Enrique and the speed of the Dolphins. I don't know why I almost said the Cowboys. But yeah, no, this will be a fun one to watch. I like Miami, but I'm not surprised if Jacksonville pulls off a win here. It's a tough one for me to pick.
Yeah, it is a tough one to pick. I wouldn't be too surprised either. I think I had them winning the division and making the
Hmm.
playoffs. So, like I said, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm not going to give
Yeah.
them this dub.
No, you definitely did
Carolina.
have them
Oh,
winning the division. I remember at one point you thought that they were like the number 2 seed or something when we were like going through the picks, and we had
yeah.
to reevaluate because then I think you had the Bengals up there
Yeah,
instead, and
Bengals
like,
number one, Jets number two, which is a little crazy, but I
yeah.
just feel like the schedule sets up really nicely for those two teams because they did
Hmm.
not win the division last year, so
That's
they play
true.
a much easier schedule.
Agreed.
Carolina at New Orleans. Oh man, I love New Orleans and the 4 points. I am squad riding New Orleans all year. No one's on the squad with me though, unfortunately. But yeah, I love the Saints this year. I could end up getting proven extremely wrong. It could go very badly for me and make me look like an absolute goof. But I mean, at least maybe I'll be able to hold off for 1 week. I feel like they should be able to beat the Panthers and they should be able to do it by more than 4 points.
Yeah, +4 or -4 here for the Saints definitely feels like a solid bet. I like them to win against a team that won what 1 or 2 games. I can't remember if did they scrounge up a
Two.
second victory last year. Okay, I mean yeah, and one of them was by like 3 points, I think, or
Yeah, I mean they
something
beat
absurd.
Atlanta like 9-6 or something, and they beat the
Yeah,
Texans, obviously.
right. So like I don't know. It feels like an easy New Orleans pick. I hope I'm not unpleasantly surprised
Yeah.
that Carolina pulls off a win, but I
If
like New
Carolina
Orleans
pulls off the
-4.
win here, I'm gonna be so pissed. I'm gonna be devastated. Like I'm like
Devastated?
turning into a Saints fan because of how much no one believes in me and how
Yeah.
much I believe in the Saints.
You put in a lot of confidence in Derek Carr and I don't know, Chris Olave, I guess.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I
Rashid
mean,
Shaheed.
they finished the year so strongly last year, And I mean, am I gonna have to say it again? If New Orleans beats Green Bay, if they don't give up a 16 to nothing lead and Green Bay nails a field goal late and New Orleans misses a field goal
They're
late,
making
like
it to the divisional round.
yeah, I mean they would have beat the Eagles, bro. Come on. They might have even beaten the Lions because they only lost to the Lions by like 5 points toward the end of the
Hmm.
season. And it's so hard to beat a team twice in a short period of time. Like, oh, Saints could have done it all last year. And there was something else that I was thinking about, but we'll let it slide. I'll bring it up later.
Yeah.
All right, enough with that one. Minnesota at the Giants. I think the best bet on the board this week is Giants money line. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Really?
I don't know why everyone's so invested in the Sam Darnold and Minnesota right now. I mean, I know they have a lot of offensive weapons. Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. That's all cool, great. Ty Chandler and their defense is not horrible. But I just feel like this is a year that the Giants are going to surprise a lot of people. Everyone's
Hmm.
down on them. Everyone's down on Daniel Jones. He's on the hot seat. Brian Dable is a great coach. I think Giants defense is a sneaky nice pickup in a lot of fantasy leagues. I'm not big on the Vikings as I already displayed earlier in our division picks. And for them to be favored by like 2, 3 points is absurd to me. I think Giants, pull this out straight up.
That's wild. I think when we were making our schedule picks, you had the Giants going like 7 and
Yeah, something
10
like
or
that.
seven
Seven
and
or eight
9.
wins for sure.
And I think I had them going 1 and 16.
I don't think it
Do you
was
remember
that
that?
bad, but it was
It
like between
was.
2 and 3 wins or so.
It was one win.
Was it really?
Yeah.
That's absurd, dude.
Yeah. I can't remember who the win was against. Maybe it was like New England. I can't remember. But
Wow.
bro, I don't have any confidence in the Giants. I will give you that Daboll is a good coach, but I don't have any confidence in Danny Dimes, bro. He just doesn't do anything for me.
Dude, I picked the Giants good. Remember, I picked them last year to beat Green Bay when they were like 6 point underdogs, and they did.
Okay. Yeah, I guess. I know they got Malik Neighbors now, so Danny's gonna have someone to throw the ball to, but other than that, like, where are their weapons? I'm just gonna have to go back to the Juan Diddler. Like, Juan Diddler is wide receiver two basically on the team.
Don't you sleep on the one diddler.
I like Minnesota here. Not like anything great about Minnesota. Just that, I mean, you kind of already mentioned it already. They've still got Justin Jefferson. They've got Aaron Jones now. Like, I know Sam Darnold is the one throwing these guys the ball or handing it off, but Justin Jefferson still performed last year when Kirk Cousins was gone, when he
Yeah.
was injured. I mean, he
That's the
still
one
put
thing
up
that
solid
scares
numbers.
me. Like Nick Mullins had good games out there and he
Yeah.
threw for a ton of yards. And obviously, I mean, Jaron Hall wasn't great, but Nick Mullins did well. And I feel like Sam Darnold is better
Hmm.
than Nick Mullins by a little bit. So that does worry me a little bit, but I just can't do it. I like the
Yeah.
Giants here. And, I put $100 on Texas A&M to beat Notre Dame last week and I lost it all, but they did give me a $5 bonus bet for that. I immediately tossed it on the Giants money line here.
Okay. Well, yeah, you don't have any emotional connection to this, so maybe you are thinking it through a little bit more logically, in
Yeah.
which case New York Giants money line could be a pretty tactical play.
I like
Um,
it. I think it's the best bet on the board, like the most value on the board. Like you're really going to give the Giants at home 3 points against the Vikings and the raging Sam Darnolds? Are you kidding me?
the raging Sam Darnolds,
Yeah.
they could come out to play, man. They got a lot of offensive talent, and the Giants don't.
But even those games that Nick Mullins played well and they didn't really win any of them. They didn't beat the Bengals. They took the Bengals to overtime. They played well, didn't beat them.
Yeah,
They played well against the Lions both times. Nick Mullins threw a combined like 800 yards in those two
yeah.
games, but didn't win either of them.
Sam Darnold will be a little bit better than Mullins.
And we will see. I mean, I do agree that he's a little bit better, but I don't have it happening.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Vegas at the Chargers. A hard one for me to pick here, but whenever I see a Chargers home game, like it means nothing to me. Chargers
Hmm.
just don't. get much from that home field advantage. And so I'm going to take the Raiders here. I mean, first game for Jim Harbaugh, first game for Justin Herbert throwing to all those new receivers for the most part. I mean, not a ton of new receivers, but just not great receiving talents. And so, yeah, I like Vegas here. I like Gardner Minshew. I like what they got going on with Devontae, Brock Bowers, Jacoby
Yeah.
Myers, a lot of returning pieces. Jameer White, I think, will be really solid this year. I think their defense is going to be improved as well. And yeah, I mean, I could totally see them. I think I do have them losing when they're at home against the Chargers later on in the year, but straight up, right off the cuff here, I think that this is one that Vegas can just kind of nab away from them.
Yeah, I remember when we were doing our schedule picks that you said that Chargers were going to start off really slow and that you thought they might lose like the first like 7 games of the season before coming back like after their bye week and kind of
Yeah.
coming back to getting in the swing of things and be the story of the NFL season. So I guess that's also another motivation for your Vegas pick here. Plus you love Gardner Minshew.
I do love Gardner Minshew. He's such a role model.
Yeah. I'm going to take the Chargers here, though. Really want to see Harbaugh get a win for his team in his first game back as a coach. And he's got a decent amount of talent to work with. I know that they did lose a lot of pieces, but they've got some new receivers. The lad. I like the lad, bro. Do you like the
I do like
lad?
Lad. Yeah, I do like him.
Yeah. He's going to be a nice target for Herb. And yeah, I want to see the Chargers get a win here at home for week number 1.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad about it. Like, I like the
Yeah.
Chargers a lot. I like what they got going on, but I just think it might be a little too soon.
Harbaugh's just got the extra drive for game number 1.
I don't know. I don't know about that one.
To be seen.
Denver at Seattle. I'm gonna take Seattle here, but I don't love this pick either.
Hmm.
These two played in the home opener or in the first week of the NFL season a couple years ago when Russ made his debut in Denver, and shockingly, Seattle beat them. Seattle had Geno Smith starting for the first week. Russ
Yeah.
was at Denver, and I believe it was like this weird like 16-15 game. Seattle pulled it
Hmm.
out. And I have them pulling it out again here just because they're at home and they're a little bit better overall as a roster. I think Bo Nix could get a little frazzled, but I don't love this pick. Like, this is an upset that I could definitely see happening. I feel like it's the biggest like point spread that
Yeah.
is available, that is amenable for an upset. I believe it's like at 5 points or something along those
6.
lines. Six. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
It's
think it's
funny
the,
that you mentioned that because I actually had a very similar thought process. I originally put Denver because I really liked them in this game. I was thinking like, Bo Nix is gonna have a lot of motivation here to perform. They played well in the preseason. Like I like what
yeah.
Denver's got going for them. And I started Googling it. And I know I shouldn't be just like looking up other references, but a lot of sources were saying like, and we already know this, but Seattle's such a hard place to play,
Yeah.
especially the crowd noise could potentially rattle Bo Nix and
Oh,
like
yeah.
I mean I agreed with that, but I don't know. I still feel like Denver could pull off an upset like you
Yeah.
said. So I put Seattle down here after reading some other expert opinions. But my gut was telling me Denver at first just because of how well they did in the preseason.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And remember, I mean, last year, Seattle opened up, I believe, at home against the Rams, and the
Hmm.
Rams pulled it out. They were 5.5 point underdogs. I remember distinctly. I picked the Rams. You took
Yeah.
Seattle. The Rams pulled it out. But I'm
Hmm.
not gonna lean that way this year. I'm just not feeling it for them.
Yeah.
Then you got Dallas at Cleveland, another very hard game for me to pick. I mean, in Cleveland, Cleveland's amazing defense, but I'm going to take Dallas here. I'm not a big believer in Deshaun Watson, but honestly, this one's tough. Like, this one is really tough for me. I'm going to stay away from this game in terms of betting because I could really see like just Cleveland shutting down. I mean, I don't think the Cowboys are going to be able to run the ball that well as it is, but
Hmm.
going up against a good defense like Cleveland could really stifle their offensive plan and force Dak to just throw the ball over the place, which I believe he does throw a pick at least in this game. I'm going to still
Yeah.
take him to pull it out, but I really don't feel amazing about it. Like, this is a tough one for me for sure.
Yeah, two very strong defenses going against each other in this matchup. I'm also going to roll with Dallas here. Um, I don't think a lot of points are going to be scored in this game. I'm definitely liking the under here. So it just feels like more of a defensive matchup. So maybe there will be a defense that returns an interception for a touchdown or something, and that's where,
Hmm.
some points get scored. I just don't feel like it's going to be a very high-powered offensive game for this one.
Yeah, no, I think the under, if anything, would be the play here.
That's my best bet of the week, or one of them at
Mm.
least.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. Next up, you have Washington at Tampa. I'm gonna take Tampa here. I just don't think they're ready over there. I don't think Tampa's gonna be great this year. I don't think they're even gonna
Hmm.
be good. But first game on the road for Jay and Daniels, he might run around, have a couple rushing touchdowns, throw a couple picks, fumble maybe once or twice. So yeah, it's gonna be a little sloppy. Probably not a game that I'll tune into a whole lot, but
Hmm.
I'm gonna take the Bucks.
Sounds like a wild game for Daniels. Game number one, a couple rushing touchdowns and a couple picks and a
And a
fumble.
couple fumbles. Yeah. I
That
mean,
is
that's like basically Anthony Richardson's stat line from like his first game, pretty much.
that's funny. It's like
Actually, I'm gonna pull it up. I have to pull it up. Anthony Richardson
nice.
game log. I know it wasn't that like extreme, but yeah, me opened up Sunday, September 10th versus Jacksonville at home. So we had one interception. He had one rushing touchdown. Now, how do I find the fumbles?
It's like hitting the cycle in baseball, bro. It's
Yeah,
he's
right.
like he's getting a fumble, an interception, a passing touchdown, a rushing touchdown. He's just doing it all.
Right. It doesn't look like he fumbled in that game. So
Mm,
I was a little off, but I feel like he definitely had a couple fumbles. Maybe in the next game he had one. But yeah, I mean, guys that are going to run around a lot, they don't really have like the gauge yet. Like they don't have
right.
like the speed down of everyone else.
Hmm.
So they're going to make a couple of those mistakes where they throw a pick and especially fumble it
That's
for some of
fair.
these scramblers.
Yeah. So don't think that Washington has a whole lot of talent on their roster. At least not a ton. I mean, yeah, like Jaden Daniels is good, but I mean, he's going to be tossing it to Terry McLaurin, and I don't like Terry McLaurin all that much. I mean, he's also isn't he kind of getting up there in age now? I feel like he's seen his name
Terry?
in the league. Isn't he getting up there? I feel
I
like he's
mean,
been
I
in the
think
league
he
for so
he just
long.
came into the league for he was just like drafted 4 years ago.
That's it?
Almost
I
100% sure.
I feel like I've just been seeing
So he's
his name.
28 and
28.
he was drafted in 2019. So,
Wow.
yeah,
All right.
5 years.
I guess that's yeah, I thought he was older than that, honestly. He feels like he's in his 30s to me. I feel like the name's been around for so long, but I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Terry. And then, like he's basically the best weapon they have. I know they have Eckler now as well, but Eckler didn't do anything last year in LA. So not loving the Commanders roster, so I'm also gonna take Tampa Bay here.
Good stuff. Rams at Detroit. This is Sunday night football. So, of
Nice
course, a
game for Sunday
rematch.
night.
Yeah, it's honestly, yeah, you have to do this one for Sunday night. Rematch of the playoff game. I just think that the Rams even out the series at 1-1, even though it's in
Mhm.
Detroit as it was before. I just don't see like as close as that game was and as many opportunities as the Rams had in that game. I don't see them messing it up again. I think Sean McVay is like one of the best coaches in the league. I think they learned so much from that game in terms of what Detroit does, what they want to do. And even though I
Mhm.
like Detroit to be very successful this year, this is a game that the Rams will win. You can't have like Jared Goff, obviously he already had his flowers, he beat his old team. Now it's time for Matt Stafford to be his old team. He did already do this in his first year starting for the Rams, but that's when the Lions were so bad. Like it wasn't even like,
Right.
it would never have been a Sunday night football game when it happened in like 2021 or whatever. But now, obviously, both teams are very good. I just think this is one that the Rams snag.
Yeah, I like the pick a lot. I'm also taking the Rams here. But man, I'm just so excited for this Sunday night football game, bro. Like
Yeah.
this is just a perfect primetime matchup for week one. But Yeah, like what you said, I feel like the Rams are going to come out strong. They're going to be upset at the loss at the end of last season, putting a damper on their Super Bowl hopes, and they're just going to come back hungry. So I think that Puka and Cooper will both have feels weird calling him Cooper, but Puka and
Cup.
Cup, I guess,
Yeah.
will both have solid games. I could see each of them going for a touchdown, honestly.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like the Rams to come in and snag a win here in Detroit.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I'm glad this is one of the bigger games that we're actually on the same page about
Yeah.
because we're definitely not on the same page about this next one. Jets at Niners. I have the Niners winning this one. I don't love the pick. It
hmm
feels like the Jets will pull it off somehow because they lost the last, it was Monday Night Football, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Obviously, Aaron Rodgers went down the way they did. Everyone saw it. It's like if it was to be scripted, the Jets would win this game. It's like, all right,
Yep.
Aaron Rodgers got his season screwed out week one last year. Jets got to win week one this year, obviously,
Right.
get the hype train going. That being said, I'm going to roll with the Niners. I just think the Jets will need some time to mesh. And, I love the Jets this year. Like, this is like one of the few games I actually have them losing. It's the
hmm
toughest game on their entire schedule, in my opinion. Like, I think Buffalo will be easier than this game for them because they will have more time, more reps together. I think the Jets are such an unknown still. I mean, Garrett Wilson could be like the best receiver in the league. It really just depends on how much of Aaron Rodgers is still left in there. And
hmm
I feel like this game, I just need to see this game before I could start taking Aaron Rodgers and the Jets like crazy. Like if I had already seen like a
Yeah.
couple games and they were like, let's say this was like week 4, both teams were like 3-0, I'd be much more inclined, I feel like, to take the Jets. But because it's week 1, it's such a tough spot for me to pick. And I feel like it's a tougher spot for them to play it too.
Yeah, that's fair. A lot more unknowns, a little bit more uncertainty with how Aaron will play coming back. Hopefully he's not due for another injury because he is, really getting up there in age. But
Yeah.
yeah, I do feel like him being back is going to galvanize this team and really inspire them to get a victory here. But yeah, like you mentioned, this is like the toughest game on their schedule and against a really crafty 49ers offense. I mean, I love the way that they get Debo, out of the backfield doing those sneaky rush plays. And of course, they have McCaffrey as well. So I'm curious to see how the Jets defense is going to handle this because I mean they're a really solid defense, but I feel like they don't typically have to work with such crafty offenses like the 49ers. So definitely will be a fun game to watch to see how it plays out, but I'm going to take the Jets in this one.
Good stuff. So we have a couple big games that we're opposite on. So it'll be interesting to follow and
Indeed.
see how it all plays out for sure.
Yes, sir.
So those are our complete picks for week 1. Now moving on to our start sits. I always hated this section just because I've always struggled with this. Like this is not
Yeah,
this has
it's
not
hard.
been good for me. That being said, maybe this year I'll turn it around. I'm gonna start Romeo Dobbs and Cooper Cup, couple receivers there for you. I think they both have good games. I don't love
hmm
Philadelphia's secondary, even though I picked them to win. I obviously talked about the Rams. I think they'll have success, and so that's why I'm taking Cup. And then we're gonna sit George Pickens because, like I said, it's going to be a lower scoring game, grime fest. And Falcon secondary, unlike the Eagles secondary, is quite good. And I think they will be better than they were last year.
Yeah, I like the picks, especially the starting Cooper Cup. Feels like they're gonna be the Lions are going to be placing the top cornerback on Puka, and so Cooper will be liable to get open and maybe return to his wide receiver one status that he had just a couple years back. So really like that pick a lot. I'm gonna be first starting Cortland Sutton here. Um, Bo Nix, feel like it's going to be his guy. And last year, Cortland Sutton was due for a touchdown every single week. He had 10 touchdowns last year. As
That's
crazy as that
wild.
is. I
Yeah.
know. It was just like they just tossed the ball up to him and he comes down with it every single week. So he's the Broncos wide receiver one this year. Jerry Judy's gone now. So, I mean, who else is Bo Nix going to be throwing the ball to? Like Greg Dulcich? Like,
Huh.
who else do they have, bro? So I like Cortland Sutton to start him this week. Also going to be starting DeAndre Swift. Think it's a really favorable matchup for the Bears against the Titans. Feels like he's going to sneak into the end zone for a rushing touchdown. And I'm going to sit Jordan Addison. Feel like Sam Darnold will be slinging the ball to Justin Jefferson week 1. That's just going to be like who his default look is to on every play. Like where's Jefferson at? So I'm not feeling a lot of confidence in Addison for this week, but that's not any sort of I don't know, like rip on
Hmm.
his future
Yeah,
performance. Like I do think that he's still liable to have a good season. I just don't feel
right.
that coming in week 1 here.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think that there definitely will be. They're going to force feed Justin Jefferson. That's the only way
Yeah.
that they're going to win. But I just think that the Giants are going to blanket him a little bit. They're going to be doubling him. And so I feel like
Hmm.
Jordan Addison actually might have a better game than Jefferson. So
It's possible.
I'm
It's
not going to buy into
possible.
that one a ton. But I do like your starts.
Thanks, dude.
All right, into the best bets. I got a medley of them here. So I saw you had like 10 best bets for the NFL. So I had to do 10 myself. And then, of course, I had the college football ones as well. So we're just going to ride right through them. Just going to coast. Baltimore +3 -120. I'm picking them to win, but I like my points too. Come on now. Got to build a little fight safe in there. You got the Giants. Like I said, it's the best bet on the board at +105 money line. Rams +3.5. A lot of these I'm picking to win, but for the best bets, I'm just going to take them with the points so that maybe I can, if they lose the game, they could still cover. And so I only
Yeah.
feel half sad about it. So yeah, Rams +3.5 -120. Too many 120s in here. There's way too many -120s than there should be. There should be a lot more -110. So I don't know what's up with that, but I do have New Orleans trying to cover there -4 at -110. I have Indianapolis +3 at -110. Again, another one that I have to win outright. Pittsburgh, Atlanta under 42. We already touched on this. That one is -110. Whereas I think Carolina, New Orleans will go over. I feel like this is like a 30-15, like 30-16, 30-17 type of game. So that's why, New Orleans covers and it goes over. Minnesota
Hmm.
Giants, I have them under 41 at -110. I feel like the Giants defense will hold Minnesota to limited points. Whereas I also, on the flip side, I just think that the Giants offense won't be that explosive to score a ton of points. So I'm going to take the under there. Jacksonville +3.5 -120. Don't have them winning that one. Pittsburgh +3 at +100. That's really good value. That must be like the second best bet on the board. Pittsburgh +3 in plus money. Yes, please. Moving on to the college football bets, I'm going to take BYU at SMU. This is Friday over 56 points at -110. Just not, yeah. The defenses here aren't great, especially for BYU. And SMU definitely loves to run up the score. I'm going to take Texas -7.5 at Michigan -110. Michigan looked like crap last week, whereas Texas looked way better than I thought. So team A looked worse. Team B looked better than I thought. So I'm going to take the team that I thought looked better than I originally had thought. Georgia Tech, money line -140. We're just going to play it safe. They're on the road, Syracuse. They're getting 2.5 points, which I feel like that's not a bad bet, but we're just going to rip the money line here. Iowa State +2.5 at Iowa. I feel like Iowa State could win this one outright. So we're going to just take the points at +105. A good bet there because they could lose by, actually, no. If they lose by 3, they're not covering. Yeah. So
Modify that one.
no, we'll still go with it, but I
Still
still
ride
like
it.
I still like it in plus money. Like if you can get like a normal spread in plus money, like that's a good deal.
Hmm.
Kansas -5.5 on the road at Illinois. So a couple like on the road games here that I have. Yeah, Texas, Georgia Tech, Iowa State, Kansas, all covering on the road. Colorado also covering on the road at Nebraska, +7 -105. Appalachian State at Clemson under 53. I think Clemson's defense is really solid, and Appalachian State's not a bad team either, despite being group of 5. And lastly, California, Berkeley at Auburn, only -113. Auburn is no way. Yeah, give me the points there. That's an easy one for me. It's also a really good bet, in my opinion. I think
Hmm.
California is poo. I actually think Auburn might be a little bit better than people think.
Nice, dude. I like the picks. We already touched on NFL, but I like especially your Texas pick there. One of my buddies at work actually offered up the same bet. We like cooked up like a office like parlay for the week.
Ooh.
And so that was the leg. It was like each person at my
Hmm.
job like offered up one leg of the parlay. And so that was
Wow.
one of them that was suggested. And yeah, I like it. I mean, Michigan
That's
did not.
dangerous, dude. That is very dangerous because let's
Why?
say all legs hit except for
Oh, that's
one. That
true.
person who contributed that leg
They're
is going to
fired.
be, yeah, they're in trouble, man.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I mean, without JJ now, Michigan's looking a little bit rocky. So
Without
Texas
Jim
can,
Harbaugh, they're looking a little rocky.
well, that too. Yeah. Um, so yeah, Texas is liable to come in here and get a nice win and hopefully cover that 7.5 points as well. But should be a good game to watch. I think it's Texas is what the 4 seed or the ranked number 4 and Michigan's like 9, I think.
Yes, Michigan actually
Yeah.
might be a little lower than that, but yeah, no, Texas is four.
Yeah, should be a good game to watch either way. All my best bets here are on the NFL. A lot of unders for me this week. Four of my best bets, actually five of them are unders. As crazy as that
Wait,
is.
hold on one second. I need
Yeah,
to know what leg you contributed to the parlay this weekend
the
at
first
work.
one, bro. The first one right here. Baltimore at Kansas City under 46.
Explain it to me.
Dude, would love to. Goes back to the reverse line movement you might remember from last year. But
Yes, 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 yes.
line opened at 49, right?
Okay, yeah, yeah,
49,
right.
83% of the public putting coin on the over, and the line moves down to 46. It's like, well, what's going on here, right? Like,
Yeah.
makes me think that Vegas knows something we don't. They're moving the line down, they're encouraging more people to bet the over because their simulations say it's going to go under. On top of that, Baltimore has a good defense. We know that the Chiefs have a good defense. This is going to be a defensive battle here. I really feel like the score is going under. Feels like a 23-17 finish to me.
That's fair. I think it hit under in the playoffs, but my problem is that I have the Ravens winning, and I feel like if the Ravens were to pull this off, it would have to be a little higher scoring. Like I feel
Hmm.
like the Ravens have to score like 24 points at least to win this game. And I don't see them getting like I don't see them blowing out the Chiefs. Now 24-21
Still
still
goes
would hit the
under.
under, but I feel like it just might be a little more girth than that, and it's too close for me. I'm not betting the over under in this one.
All right, man. Well, I mean, I'm hammering the under. I've given it to people I work with, given it to people who have already been at the company for a few years. So
So
there's a
you could
lot
get
of
fired after this weekend, basically.
there's a lot of coin that's flown onto this bet. A
That's
lot of coin.
crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
Although
I
I,
mean,
w-
I
I
hope it. I mean, for you, I hope it hits because I only have a dog in the fight for this one.
yeah, although I will say your bet last week, the ND Texas A&M under was actually quite surgical because then when I was checking the odds on it, it had that same reverse line movement. In fact, the exact same. It opened at 49 and moved down to
Really?
46. Yeah.
Wow.
And it was 78% of the public was betting the over. And so I was like, all right, like I like the under too. Like I like that a lot. And of
Yeah.
course, the game started off very slow. Quite a few more points were scored in the second half, but the game was going under the whole time.
Yeah. The under in that game was such an easy pick for me.
Yeah. So that's the play, and that's kind of the motivation behind basically all of my unders this week. So Green Bay at Philadelphia under 48.5, exact same thing. I'm also a little bit worried that like the wildfires might have some sort of impact, like could be a little bit smoky in the area, could be like hard to see some balls. Could I don't know, it just might be a little
Yeah.
bit
A
wild.
little
So we're gonna
smoky.
we're gonna hit the under on that one as well. New England and Cincinnati
I don't
under
mind that,
40 and a half.
all the travel involved as well. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think this is the lowest under on the board here, New England and Cincinnati under 40.5. Whenever I see those lines that are lower than usual, I like to bet the one that seems less likely to happen. So I'm going to take the under on that as well. And then Dallas and Cleveland, I already talked about this one a little bit, but under 41 and a half, two very strong defenses going against each other here. Doesn't feel like a lot of points will be scored. Cleveland's offense isn't the greatest. I know Dallas's offense generally is, but just feels like a defensive game here. Then we've got Vegas and the Chargers also going under 40 and a half. Now I
Yeah.
think this one had I need to check this one actually real quick. There were some crazy numbers on one of these ones here. Yeah, I guess it's not as crazy as I thought, but this one, 86% of the public on the over. The line opened at 43 and a half, moved down to 40 and a half. So similar story as all these other ones. Now, Denver and Seattle already touched on this one, but I want to take Denver +6. I was contemplating taking that money line. Also, New England and Cincinnati, taking New England with 9 points. That's the biggest spread for the week. I want
Right.
them to cover that, knowing that Cincinnati starts off their season a little bit rocky now. Um, Crazy bet here, or a crazy odd a public bet. The Rams money line at +158, right? Public
Right.
bet 98% on Detroit at minus 190.
That's
98%.
great. That's too many. Sometimes I almost can't believe that because it just sounds so
I know.
unfathomable.
I agree. That's a crazy number. So I like the Rams. Like I bet on the Rams before even looking at that stat. Like I picked the Rams to win the game and then I looked at this and I'm like, bro, that's crazy. I cannot believe 98% on the Lions. So gonna fade the public on that one as well. And finally, we have one more under here. The Jets and the 49ers under 43. So no college picks for me this week,
Fair
but
enough.
a lot
We'll
of lot
allow
of
it.
NFL. Yeah, I think this is more NFL best bets than I've ever
Yeah.
given before. So I'm hoping that I'll come through and hit at least more than half. I've got 9 of them here, so I would like to go at least 5 and 4.
Yeah, I don't know how many I have, but as long as
18.
we're 18, wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So as long as we're, you know, above 50%, I think we're in good shape. Well, we have to, depending on the odds, of course.
Yeah.
I just want win money.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
all.
Yeah. We'll track it. We've got our best bets tracker going. We started the new one for the year. Rhett's
Yeah.
looking nice and pretty on it though right now. 3-1-1, 75% win rate, 34% ROI. That's a girthed ROI.
I know. Hopefully I don't mess it up here, but you haven't done any bets yet in the new tracker, right?
No, these are the first bets of the year for me.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get off to a good start, but week one's always tough to gauge.
Yep. But very excited for the week ahead and
Yeah.
yeah, feel free to let us know how you feel about our picks in the comments and what game you're most looking forward to watching this weekend.
Yeah, there's a few games out there. Like I like Thursday night, I like Monday night. Like every primetime game I think's a banger, or it should be.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Yeah, and on Sunday, I think this Jacksonville Miami game is the one I'm most looking forward to.
Yeah, no, that one should be good. Two Florida teams battling it out.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. Well, we will see you next week for our week two predictions and week one recap. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks as always for watching. And yeah, enjoy football. There won't be, I believe, yeah, there won't be a weekend without football till like mid-February. So,
I love that.
ugh,
That's glorious.
feed me.